If the bee disappeared off the face of the earth, man would only have 4 years left to live. Albert Einstein never actually said that. It is a fabricated quote that surfaces almost every time ecological disaster hits the news cycle. But here is the hard, mathematical baseline that makes the myth so believable. Roughly 75% of all global food crops rely directly on insect pollination to survive. When we map out a food chain, we tend to place bees near the very bottom, treating them as a convenient calorie source for birds or spiders. That assumes their only value is as prey. As a bee is gathering pollen, it physically transports genetic material from one blossom to another. They are the invisible facilitators engineering plant reproduction. Removing them from an ecosystem deletes the biological engine that drives the rest of nature's growth. The bee pollinates the plant, creating seeds and fruit. Eliminate the bee, and the seeds vanish. Herbivores relying on those seeds starve, their populations dropping to zero. This removes the food source for apex predators, leaving hawks, foxes, and snakes with nothing to hunt. Ecosystems shatter from the bottom up, through starvation cascades triggered by a missing link at the base of the chain. Right now, 3 separate human-driven stressors are attacking that biological foundation. First, as the climate warms, local flora blooms earlier, throwing plant life completely out of sync with the active periods of native bee populations. Second, agricultural monoculture replaces wildly diverse ecosystems with massive single-crop food deserts. For miles, there is absolutely zero floral diversity to sustain insect populations. Finally, we apply neonicotinoid pesticides. Coating the environment in these chemicals destroys a bee's central nervous system, shredding its immunity and navigation. Humanity has layered these 3 forces together, resulting in a compounding trifecta of starvation, disorientation, and poisoning. The measurable result is colony collapse disorder. In a mass casualty event, most worker bees abruptly abandon their hive, leaving the queen behind to die. This line graph tracks annual bee populations across the United States since 2006. Every single year, commercial beekeepers report losing between 30 to 40% of their entire hive stock. The extinction of the bee is a measurable, statistical reality, already dismantling our agricultural infrastructure year after year. We are already witnessing the physical toll of farming without them. In the Sichuan province of China, total ecosystem collapse forces agricultural workers to climb trees and pollinate pear blossoms by hand, dusting them individually with tiny brushes. Without natural pollination, highly dependent staple crops disappear entirely. Almonds, blueberries, and vast orchards of apples would vanish from our grocery stores. Economists estimate that insects provide a free global ecosystem service valued between $235 billion and $577 billion annually. Human technology cannot economically scale to replace that workforce. Without their unpaid labor, our global food production and pricing models simply break apart. Stabilizing the global bee population requires immediate top-down policy intervention, primarily strict legal bans on neonicotinoid pesticides and the fierce protection of wild habitats. On a micro level, the agricultural sector must pivot away from endless monoculture. Everyday consumers can drive this by supporting organic farms, planting diverse gardens, and integrating managed apiaries back into our natural spaces. The ultimate goal of all these interventions is survival. We need these pollinators to maintain a secure, diverse, and affordable food supply for the global population. Fighting to protect the bee is the most critical step in securing our own dinner tables.